DB, I have a question for you.
What up?
As we're talking through with Sam there, talking about the types of players Nebraska likes to recruit, the competitiveness, the low maintenance guys, but then publicly, all you really hear about is, oh, we liked his measurables. He had X, Y, and Z.
Mhm.
So I'm sitting there and I go, okay, so two things are possible here, and I'm curious what you think is it, or maybe there's a third possibility I haven't thought of yet. Either there's way more good football players out there, or potentially good football players out there than we think,
Okay.
where you can be that selective in terms of makeup and still have this threshold of measurables that they have to reach. And because they're not finished products, there's just way more of them than people realize. Okay, that's option number one to me. Option number two is those kids are actually incredibly rare. Nebraska's just the only one that wants them.
It's not two,
Okay.
but I do think.
And I'm not talking about like the TJ Latifs and the Dylan Real. I'm talking about the guys with like crazy measurables, like the James Williams.
James Williams, the Rex Guthries, the Roger Gradneys,
Yes.
the Barneys.
The guys that they love their measurables, but their makeup is perfect for Nebraska, and they're like, we'll teach them how to play football.
Yeah. So I wouldn't overthink it, but I like the question. You know what I think it is? I think it's people gravitate towards what they like.
Okay.
I think it's pretty much that simple. Like he's changed so much of his staff without us even really being privy to it. And I don't just mean the 10 paid guys, because there's a couple guys that have been changed there too. He gravitates towards competitiveness and the ability to persevere. So there's so many things that happen behind the scenes that they've got to figure out and be able to think quick. And it could be something as simple or complicated as moving stadiums. Not stadiums, moving
sideline size.
No, locker rooms or the facility, the football facility. Are you somebody that needs? Are you people that people that work? Are you people that need like direction, or to wait and see the finished product, or get everything set up before you can function? Or are you people like, just get it over there, we'll figure it out on the fly? I know it's a busy time. Are you, well, I'm not really sure what to do, I'm just going to wait on you to tell me? There's kind of an MO there where it's, we'll figure it out when we get there. If you're not like that, you could have a hard time functioning.
Sure.
Doesn't mean you're any better or worse of a person. You just typically gravitate towards what you like.
Yeah.
So those are the kinds of people. You got to be able to pull off a camp in short notice. You have to be able to change locations in 2 days. You have to be able to overcome 3 quarterbacks playing. You have to be able to overcome, 4th and 1 or sudden change, or you throw a pick late in the game. All of it is the ability to deal under less than ideal situations. The more you can replicate that across the board, the more accustomed you learn to function when things don't go your way. I think they look for people like that. It's just natural. Coach Coop, undersized, extremely tough. Dvorak, pretty banged up, bad knee injury at Temple. I could go on down. I look at his support staff. Do you think Dr. Elza isn't tough? Like, she's tough. You think, you look at Patton or Kristen, like, you're willing to change the layout and the infrastructure and delay instant gratification to make sure it's the way you wanted it to.
Right.
Some people just can't function like that. Some people like, oh, just do it. It's fine. It's fine. There is no, it's fine.
Right. Oh, it's just good enough.
It's just they don't even talk like that.
Yeah, good enough isn't good enough.
I don't hear anybody, even in the little things like that. right? We had breakfast in the new where the players are going to eat, and it's a total work in progress. And it's like, we'll figure it out. We know what we want. There isn't, well, let's just go with it. This is the way it is. You can adjust real time, but know that you're not done yet.
Mhm.
You're not.
And
And everybody's personality probably falls somewhere in it. You ever moved and you know people that don't want to really get in the house until they have
Everything's set
everything
up.
situated?
Yeah.
Or when they get to a hotel, like
Mhm.
everybody has their own
like version of that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hey, I'll come on board with the job when you get this, and this done.
And then there's some people it's like, hey, I'll take the job and I'll get this X, Y,
Yeah.
and Z done.
Right. So
Yeah.
it just everybody kind of has that. Everybody kind of has that range. Some people don't even know it. Like when they're looking, like relationship wise,
Mhm.
there are people that are looking for finished products.
Oh yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
There are other people that can like see a couple of the things that they really
They can project. Yeah.
And do that. Some people think, well, they have that, and that. I'll fix the rest.
Yeah.
Like
Right.
So that's how it's just a microcosm of real life. So when they're recruiting,
Yeah.
your eye gravitates towards things that you like.
So that's an interesting analogy because I think you're right. I think it's a good example, but I think there's also mistakes that can be made there, right?
100. Oh,
right? Because you mentioned that, I can fix the rest. A lot of times you cannot fix the rest.
Understood.
You have to understand the things that are fixable versus not, right?
What did Severe used to always beat me up over? Every 3 or 4 weeks, I would talk about, Nebraska addressing their weaknesses. And if you just come out and you do this, and he would always say, well, what if your head coach isn't capable of that?
Yeah.
You can want to all you want.
Yeah.
Right. Like,
but even if the head coach is capable of it, what if the player's not? Like, right? Like, what if the player has attributes? And I think that's what we're talking about with the wanting the competitiveness and the low maintenance and things like that, right? Like, I think they've identified the things that they don't think are changeable, and then they look for, if we could change the rest, right? Because if you're not competitive and if you're high maintenance, that's probably not changing.
Yeah, it's just
right.
Right.
I mean, we've all met those people.
They're just some non-negotiables.
Yeah.
Like and there's multiple ways to do it. Like, let's say, like I don't like indecision.
Mm-hmm.
Right. But I do like for people to be thoughtful. So take your time,
mm-hmm.
figure it out. I'll wait.
Mm-hmm.
What I don't like to do is to have you go back and forth.
Sure. Yeah. It's like, I like people that are self-sufficient, but it's okay to ask for help.
Right.
Right. But once you ask for help, I need to not have to hold your hand in executing the help.
That's another good example.
Right.
So I think when they're recruiting and what they're looking for is, there are some certain measurables. I mean, I watched the weight room presentation where it's so layered and tiered with the group. They literally went into how long you've been injured or out of football versus if you're playing on Saturday versus if you are in this range as a first-year guy to this range as a first-year guy,
mm-hmm.
and how many different kinds of groups that they'll put you in.
Yeah.
It was overly it's a lot of detail.
Yeah, like it's very specific.
But they look at it every day. So it's easy for them to just slot that accordingly because it's what they're accustomed to doing. Other people may look at that and that's not for them. They just want to be told and then they'll figure it out like when they get the product. Yeah. Hey, I'm in control of this. Just send them over to me. Like everybody's built a certain different way in what they gravitate towards. But we got to finish this up because I think it's really, really important in terms of how they recruit.
More Hurrdat Sports Radio coming up next.